to another episode of Dual Alliance with myself, Alicia, and Megan. We are back to discuss the challenge season 40, episode 14. We are on. That means we are like halfway through the season, actually, because typically the show runs about 21 to 22 episodes. So we are actually halfway on to ending the season. It's pretty long, as most challenge seasons are, but same old this week. More of Corey trying to find his footing. Basically, everyone sucked in today's daily challenge except for a couple of people, but nonetheless, we move.
Yeah, we'll get to that daily challenge, but that was a really good showing for a couple people. But Michelle is back in the house and her sanity has left the building, and now she has to pivot her game to try and get more allies with Cara Maria, Derek, and Tori as her new people. And Bananas was voting when they came back in the house. Even though now he's also a target by proxy of her winning that challenge, that elimination. He's still a target no matter what because Michelle versus Bananas. But he hopes that either Tori, Carr, or Michelle don't win this week and he'll be safe. But spoiler alert, he was still not safe.
Yeah, I mean, it was either he won or he wasn't safe. But I just think that given the fact that Cara and Michelle has had a history from the prior season and her beating her in elimination, and then Tori being added on into that crew, of course, because of the Vacation Alliance and her relationship with Devin. I just think it's an interesting group of people that are now aligned on that side of the house versus the banana side.
Yeah, it's a very let's let bygones be bygones situation with those three. But it is what it is. Also, Josh told Michelle to nominate him, with what we didn't see from last week's episode. So he was good about that and taking the reins for his fate in the game. Um, and Rachel was like, you could have just put it in her court to make her kind of like make this actual decision and not just give the decision to her. Be like, I'm good with being a target, but he was going to be a target. I feel like either way because Michelle has as people that I think she would put above him anyways. And then also Corey let us know his top two women as well were Cara, Maria, and Tori. So that was really not too much before we got to the daily challenge.
Yeah, this episode kind of dragged, not gonna lie. I had to rewind it at least four different times to even remember what I was watching, which I'm sorry. Like, it's just, I hate when I have to do that because why aren't y'all intriguing me? Like, y'all are not giving me anything.
It's giving they are very bored themselves and nothing else we can really see because everyone's now kumbaya. Um, and we're not seeing the actual other drama if we even had actual drama that we didn't see. But this daily challenge, it was called Another Trucker, where the players will be hanging off a truck and they have to hit all the targets on the roadway. And the person that hits the most targets will be the winner for the day. And because Corey was the last man to be done last episode, he had a penalty. We had one less target of sorts, and an extra target down. And this challenge, like we said, a lot of people failed horribly, especially in the first heat with Cara and Tori, where both of them were not even close to the targets at all. But Cara was able to at least get five. Tori could barely get any.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about going first in challenges just so that you can see how it goes. But I think given this challenge was on a moving vehicle, it's a little bit different trying to stabilize and catch your footing to try to figure out how you're going to do this. And Cara didn't perform well, but she did better than Tori. Tori, I'm not sure of like Tori's record in these kind of not eliminations but challenges, but she just did not perform well at all, and it left up to the rest of them to see how much more they sucked more than Tori, which is like saying a lot because Tori really sucked. But Aviv was concerned because of her height and weight and how she couldn't reach. And when we got to Aviv, we saw how bad she was not able to reach anything. Just her height, it just was a disadvantage to her in this situation. And I think, she's still injured too. So that's also a thing with Aviv. I'm not sure how that, affected her in jumping off of the truck. But yeah, Aviv did not perform well. Michelle, no surprise, also did not perform well in this challenge. It's physical. I'm not expecting Michelle to do anything or give me anything. I think Bananas was making fun of Michelle's acrobatics. It's not there. Can't say she's going to be at Cirque du Soleil anytime soon. So Michelle performed badly. And then we got to some of the men who, I mean, Jordan did well. Bananas also went first. He did moderately okay. Like he was in the middle. So he thought it would be enough, but then Jordan happened, and Jordan came, smashed all of the targets, and it was kind of like, okay, I don't like really know what's happening next. Josh was, with Jordan on his turn, and Josh was just so funny to me this episode because he was trying so hard. The B-roll of him looking at Jordan and like having this like mean mug face on, and then him actually going and shit the bed when he went up there, funny as shit to me because I think if this is comedy at this point with Josh. But he did not perform well. He's a target, so that did not help his situation. Uh I just want to fast forward to Derek because I feel like Derek, we spoke about him in the past couple of weeks and how, he's pretty much an underdog in this house and situation. And I'm not sure if people took him seriously. I mean, I did in watching him in All Stars 4 in his final and that run that he went on in the latter season of All Stars 4. I'm thinking, you know what? Derek has something here that he can actually like perform well. And I was just hoping that he would get an opportunity to get close to a final or at least get to a final on this show so that we can see what he really has. And even though the mini final, he did not do well, like he was part of the last crew. He almost got DQ'd if Nehemiah didn't. But like, I'm rooting for Derek in this situation. But when I say I was like thoroughly surprised on how he smashed it and literally hit all of the targets, major props and big ups to Derek. He's doing it for his community and all of that, but I'm just here for him actually showing up and showing out on a challenge that I don't think anyone expected him to do so well in.
Yeah, like his mindset was like, "Ooh, this is." He once he got in the groove, like, "Ooh, snatch a weave." I was like, "I love it. I love the energy." He was very excited and he was looking very spry, and I was very excited. Oh my god, he was going against Kylan, by the way, in that heat, and Kylan kept up, even though Kylan with a couple of targets behind. It was really like a good showing for both of them, but Derek really surprised, I think, the rest of the guys in the house too, because Jordan was like, oh, he's a dark horse. Like he's actually like killing it like in these challenges for the most part. And this one obviously killed it. He's had a good social game throughout the season, like we've been mentioning this whole season up to this point. But Derek really showed up and showed out. Also, it's funny too because the top guys of this daily, when you think about it, obviously it was Jordan, Derek. Kylan also got 11 targets, and then Bananas was also tied of Kylan as well. And even so, middle of the pack with for Bananas, he was still like not quite at the top, but he was there. So I give him that. But on the women's side, Rachel had the most for the women with 9 targets. She killed it. She was very at ease in that heat with Aviv. So yeah.
Yeah, I think, also Corey being a target, he missed a couple of those targets to hit, which hurt him because there was one that he had hit at the end, but it didn't count because they took it away. So it was kind of like, not really great for Corey. I know he wanted to perform well, and he did decently, but it wasn't good enough in this situation. Just yeah.
Just didn't win the challenge. But because Derek and Jordan both got above, it went to sudden death. And Derek wiped the floor. Granted, it was very close. both of them in that sudden death round. Derek got the edge by 1 point, and it was 7-6. And Derek ended up being our male winner for this daily. And of course, Rachel with her 9 targets, being the only woman to really get over 5. She was the winner for the women. And now Aviv, because she was the last woman done, could really get. She only got 1 or 2, I would say. She is going to get the penalty for next week. Josh is going straight to elimination. And now, because Corey and Bananas were also targets, they'll have to plead their cases to both Rachel and Derek to not go against Josh. But the writing was on the wall with this, because obviously Rachel and Bananas are working together. So she wasn't going to put him against Josh. Like, he was good. He was off scot free for the most part. But Corey wanted her to really take a shot, but because of the history and how well they've like kind of come together this season, that wasn't gonna happen for him.
Yeah, I mean, I also brought this up a couple of weeks back where Rachel was showing, her politician side and basically trying to make deals with a lot of different people. And it's said that this will come to a head at some point because Rachel has so many relationships with the men in the house. She will have to choose. And, she was always with the Bananas Angels crew. So it made sense that she was going to stick with Bananas. But, she did try to hear Corey out at least. She didn't really just like shut him away. So, uh, yeah, but Corey really didn't have much to go off of. Like, it wasn't going to be anyone else. And I think Cara also tried to, nudge her into saying, like, take the shot. But honestly, at this point of the game, like, since the guys are helping the girls out, I think it would just benefit Rachel if she just didn't push that button to go after Bananas, because if it's against Josh, I'm like 9 out of 10 for sure he would have came back. And so then that would have disrupted their relationship for what at this point? Like, it's kind of like a catch 22 in that situation. I'm usually here for them taking the big shot, but in this instance, it didn't really make any sense for Rachel to go that route at this point of the game. But Corey now has to go into elimination, and we saw Josh and Corey go at it this season, and how their relationship has really been estranged and then came back. Like, they have this weird thing where it's like at one moment they're like, this is my brother, you're my family, and Corey's like, but are you really? Because you're like, you voted me in and then you talked all this shit to me. So like, he's really confused at where they stand. And I think that's just Corey's MO on the show with the people he has quote unquote relationships with, or with allies with, because it's like, Corey, you really don't know who is on his side until you get to this point, and then it's like really nobody. Like, Corey really just don't have anybody except for the person that called him on the phone. Like, sorry, not sorry, but it'd be really looking real bleak for Corey at sometimes.
Yeah, because even with like the women he has at his top 2, he's he's Kara's number 1. That's the only number 1 that he's at the top of the list for the most part. He only is one person's number 1, because he also has Tori in his back pocket, but Tori is gonna pick Jordan before she picks Corey. So all he has is one person. Everybody else has their own things going. But like you said, had that one phone call with that man. I had to collect. I had a really big sigh. Um, Granted, he's in good spirits. um, and he's recovering very well. I didn't need to see Nelly T on my TV screen for this episode.
I didn't mind it just because I feel like Nelson has just been a big part of this era 3/era 4 before he, had the accident. Like, I can't deny his impact on era 3 if he was to be healthy. So, you know, I'm glad he did at least get a shout out, but it is unfortunate the situation that he put himself in and how that is now his life that he has to deal with. But I am glad to see that he is in good spirits, and that helped Corey a little bit, I guess, in having someone there that would be, supporting him. But it's just Life is crazy, man. Like that just really goes to show you like things can really change in an instant and you just don't know. And it really is unfortunate to see him like that. And I would want to see Nelson back, but just it's just so many hurdles that he has to go through. But shout out to Nelson, I guess.
um, moving on, because like I said, this episode was very much a doozy. The chamber, we already knew what it was. It was Corey. And in the arena, it was Rachel's decision, obviously, and she put Corey in the sand against Josh. And TJ saying the name of this nation had everybody cackling, because why was it called coming from behind?
Not sure who came up with that name, but I mean, they clearly workshopped it and thought it was good, so they went with it. But obviously, Derek is making a joke like that's what he likes, and then all of a sudden it's like third grade and everyone's snickering and giggling about the name. But I mean, it is what it is.
Yep. And this game is basically where it's initially thought it would have given them a hall brawl because it's a headbanger. This is like a variation of sorts of it, where the guys have to run to the bell 4 times, and the offensive player has to run towards it to try and ring it. The defensive player has to block them, and this is really in Corey's real house. Like, we know Corey's a former player, known for enjoying eliminations and challenges. This was really a mission made for Corey.
For sure. I mean, I didn't think anything less. I really would have liked to see a hall brawl, but I know that they're trying to get away from quote unquote doing that, even though Olivia and Reese had one earlier this season. I don't think they're really trying to keep continuing to do the actual head to head banger, but this was a good variation, just not for Josh. For all of Josh's changes and transformations in his body and how he's come back in the past couple of seasons of him being on the show, he's just still goofy. Like he don't have what it takes to, complete the task and how it should have been done. And, specifically Corey was just on the money of literally being ahead on offense. Like his first foot, Corey is like off to the races and running. Josh, he seems confused in the days. Like he's running, but I don't know what he's really doing. And then he can't even jump over the haystack correctly. Like it was just so embarrassing because just it's like for all of Josh, like I want to try, I want to do this, I want to do that. And for that performance to be what it was, it's just like, buddy, I don't know if this truly is the path that you should be taking. Because if you can't even do that, what did you think the final like could be like how do you think you're gonna weigh up in that instinct? He had no actual instinct in this situation, which is what it was just frustrating to me. Corey was on the money. As soon as he turned the corner, Corey was knocking his head off, and you could see it in Banana's face as well, because obviously he's rooting for Josh, but Bananas was just, he looked disgusted. He was just like, bro, what is going on? Because honestly, what was going on? You can't even really like tell if Josh was even trying. And it was just really sad.
Yeah, right now my quick thought was it's giving Derrick Henry on Africa. It was his only season on the challenge, and they call that man popcorn muscles. Because I'm sorry, but as much as like Josh has transformed, you still have to be able to be agile and get over a haystack. Like Corey got over it with ease, but on every single round, Josh could barely get over it, and that made him a step back of even getting to Corey. Like Corey was able to jump over it and then also tackle Josh and push him out of bounds. Josh could barely even get over it and do something. It was a clean sweep basically for Corey in this submission, and he stays in the game. He's back in the house, and Josh, as much as he was very excited and like in a different mindset coming this season, just fell short. and is gonna go home.
Yeah, I mean, he made it this far at least. He can be proud of himself from that because there was a lot of other people on this show who I thought would have made it further than Josh this season. So I mean, his relationships did help him, but he was under the radar for the most part until, we started to get into this individual game. But yeah, I'm not really big on Josh returning or, seeing him back, but we probably will. So there goes that.
Yep. And with that, Corey sets his targets, and they are Jenny, Michelle, and Aviv. And Aviv also has a bounty for next week, so she has a double um, thing against her. But we'll see how that goes because next week they're going to be in a really tight tunnel with a whole bunch of critters. So, how that daily goes, and somebody DQs because they broke the rules. So, that's interesting.
Yeah, I definitely want to see who that was that DQ'd on next week.
But with that, we're going to get into some of these tweets really quick from this week's episode where everyone was mostly on the same page. The first tweet is Corey, a former football college player, when the challenge finally gives him a genuine headbanger elimination after a decade. Accompanied is the clip from Deadpool when it's Channing Tatum saying, "Ooh, have I made a make of myself something?" And I'm like, "Hey, he deserves it. Hey, because he shines in those headbangers missions, so it works perfectly."
Not for sure. This definitely was Corey's elimination to lose. No doubt about it.
And the next tweet, I only have two tweets for this one. Saying you're always rooting for Corey and then giving him the lowest amount of karma voids. Because Josh, he also tweeted, while this game didn't align for us, I'm genuinely so proud of Corey. In my eyes, he's one of the best in the sand. I respect so much of his why and who he's doing it for. Will always root for success. But you gave him a one. You were like, oh, I'm gonna give Rachel and Bananas 5 stars. But Corey was in a group of people. He gave a 1 point.
I mean, it's no surprise they say one thing and do another thing on this show. So I'm not surprised that he even did that. But giving Tori, Rachel, and Bananas a five in the karma vote, I mean, I get it, but that's interesting to say the least. Because those were the three people that it was just like the relationships this season were shaky at best when it came to Josh, except for Rachel. But Tori and Bananas, it really was a roller coaster with Josh and those two people this season.
Yep. And those are all the tweets from this week's episode.
And that is the end of this recap. We will be back to discuss more of the challenge, season 40. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you would like to follow us on Twitter, you can at Two Alliance Pod. If you would like to follow us individually, you can. You can follow Megan at Megs and Hines. You can follow myself at Ace_S5. And if you're listening to this podcast, you can watch this live on YouTube on Thursdays when we do this at Two Alliance Podcast. I think that's it. And thank you guys. We'll be back. Peace out. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.